Well, it's been a while since I've done a video, especially not in my vehicle. Not dressed up, no earrings, no fancy anything, just me. I just wanted to share, and just for the sake of covering all my bases, I say Yahuwah instead of God, not because I am all that and a biscuit too in the name thing, but because every God is called God, and I believe He has a name, and I prefer to be on an intimate basis with Him. And I may not fully know that I'm saying it correctly, because I don't. I may not fully believe that I'm pronouncing it correctly, because I don't. I don't know what His name is. I just know that it's not God. When we read in the Bible, it's many things. But I choose to call Him, when I'm speaking of Him, as Yahuwah. And so as I'm talking, you're going to hear me talk about that. And if you know me at all, you know there's not going to be very many conversations that I don't speak about Him. Some of you have followed me now a long time. But this last 2.5 years, you've watched me go through quite a bit of stuff. From a leg being broke, stents being put in my heart, possible heart attack, wearing oxygen, COPD, from an unknown cause, bleeding, can't find the reason, blood transfusions, iron infusions, cancer, losing a kidney, having surgery on my shoulder, having gallbladder surgery, fibromyalgia, depression, suicidal ideations, anxiety, all the things that goes with all that. Most of you know that it's related to childhood abuse. My actual abuse probably started at birth, if not before birth. I tend to believe it was before birth. But my earliest memory is 18 months, and my mother confirmed it. She was shocked that I had a memory of what occurred that night as vividly as I did. I just had two segments separated, and I thought there were two different incidences, and she helped me realize it was all one evening. Anyhow, complex PTSD, you've heard me talk quite a bit about it. The difference between it and PTSD is the cause. Complex PTSD comes from complex trauma. Multiple situations, could be multiple perpetrators. Sexual abuse is often involved. Childhood abuse is mostly involved. Can occur from a woman being in, or a man being in an abusive marriage over a long period of time, especially with a narcissistic type person who does a lot of gaslighting, trying to convince you of their truth when the reality is something totally different. Anyhow, I could really talk about that subject because I have immersed myself in it to understand it after I realized I have it. Now, somebody in the group or in the ones listening are going to say, "Oh, she just claimed it and she's owning it." If that's the way you want to see it. Reality is the truth, whether we like it or not. And there was a conditioning that occurred with that abuse. And I'll be 55 years old in June, and every single solitary time I think that I have come to a place to understand what the abuse did to me. I learned I don't really have a clue. every single solitary time I think I've come to a place of some major healing, I find out there's more that needs to be done. So I do tend to get a little on the aggressive side with those who, tell me I just need to give it to our Messiah and He'll take care of it. By the way, I say Yahusha for Jesus. And they'll say this, and it sounds logical. I was raised in a Pentecostal Holy Roller church, and I don't know how many times I went to the altar thinking, that's what I needed to do to fix what was going on with me as a child, to be rescued from the situation. So I was conditioned to believe that there was something wrong with me because He wouldn't fix things from a child. And it does cause me quite a bit of aggression and anger when somebody tells me that's the way to fix this thing. Because I've been doing that since I was a child. I can tell you for sure from the age of 12. And it didn't change anything. The abuser was still there. The abuse still went on. My daddy didn't come and rescue me, not knowing my daddy had abused me. Didn't know that at that time. So I'm like, okay, so I'm giving it to who, and he's doing what, and if he loved me, he would what? One of the things that was conditioned in me is to learn that aggression is the way to protect myself. I was about 15 years old, and my stepdad put his fist into my face. Right here, actually. If somebody had told me that my jaw was broke, I would not have been surprised. My cheek more than my jaw, because of the way he rocked me. And the reason why he did it is because he had been abusing me for a long time, and I was now a teenager in full-blown rebellion. And after he hit me with his fist, I asked somebody to teach me how to defend myself, and they taught me how to hold a knife. Taught me how to hold it, how to bring it up, how to do the most damage, the stance I needed to take, and everything. Wasn't long after learning that he came at me again one day like he was going to hit me. And I backed up to my mom's kitchen counter, and I grabbed her butcher knife, and I didn't say it in a nice, sweet little way, and I used words that were not so nice and sweet, but I told him if he hit me, I was going to cut his fat gut. From that day, I saw, because this man backed off. This man left me alone. This man called the cops, and the cops was laughing at him because he couldn't control his own home. I saw that day that aggression would protect me. Aggression would keep people away that need to be away. Aggression would be my protection, not Yahweh. Aggression was the way to take care of myself. Aggression was the way to get what I needed in life. I've been called a bully by someone that I love very much. And I don't see myself as the bully who used to punch me in the stomach every day at school. I don't see myself as the bully who forced me into things I didn't want to be in. But I will go nose to nose with you even now if I am triggered into that area. If I feel unsafe, if I feel unprotected, if I feel like I must stand for myself, I will go nose to nose with you. And you may be as big as the side of a house, but I won't back down. I won't show fear. But what's driving that? Fear. So we get conditioned to act and react in certain ways. I learned aggression, being strong, being tough, was my protective mechanism. It can come across in type. Y'all have seen it on Facebook. It can come across in person. It can come across about anyway. It can even come across when I don't want it to come across. Just in being self-confident and secure in who I am as a child of Yahuwah. But because I have an animated face, and because it's very expressive, and because I have no fear in speaking truth, it can look aggressive like this over here, but it may not be what I'm feeling on the inside. I said something the other day to somebody on Facebook, and they were like, you're just being aggressive. And I'm like, I did everything I knew to do to not come across aggressive. Sometimes the truth just sounds aggressive, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm sure that young man that was asking Yahushua, our Messiah, about, what did he need to do to be saved, and to give up all of his riches and follow me, I'm sure that didn't sound too much like, oh, honey, you just need to lay your money to the side and follow me. I'm sure it sounded like, you need to give up what you have and follow me. So we're conditioned to react and act in certain ways. My aggression is steeped in fear. Fear of people getting too close, fear of being hurt, fear of this, fear of that. And I've learned over the years that my friend Tom, who died, he said to me, you have a childlike faith. And I agree with him. I see that. There is that side of me. I just believe that he's going to take care of things. But then there's the part of me that's like, he didn't take care of it. He didn't prove himself to love me. So how can I trust him? So you learn aggressive ways to do things. I was a little girl in a very, very bad situation. No way out. Being sexually abused from a very early age. And one of the things that children do when they're in toxic environments, feeling unsafe, being sexually abused, is urinate the bed. And I did. And I could describe to you the first time I remember my face being smeared in that urine. I could describe the trailer that we were living in. And I don't doubt that it worked, because I have other memories of me urinating the bed, but that's what was done to me. My face was stuck into that mattress with that urine, and my face was smeared in it. Now, I see how wrong that was at this point in my lifetime. But I did that to my daughter. I did that to my baby, my child. And it wasn't until this week that I realized how degrading and how horrible and how aggressive and what a bully I was to do that to my daughter. I thought it was how you did it. I'd done everything else I knew to do, and nothing worked, so I did that. Asher, my standard poodle that many of you have seen that I've gotten, is having some issues. Poodles are known to have digestive issues, and he's having some, and so that's creating some diarrhea. And I'm training him through Training Your Own Full Potential Service Dog by Leila Sullivan. It's an ebook on Amazon, about $10. But they also have a Facebook group by the same name. And I started exploring them back in November and December, and one of the trainers said to me, it's not just about training your dog to be their full potential. It's about training you to be a full potential human. And I'm like, whatever. I learned this week, because we are in the school, and if you're interested in training your pet or your dog or whatever to be a service dog or just a pet, I highly recommend this program. There's a potty training book that we've been using that's very, very good. But you can check the school and the organization out at yourservicedog.org. But anyhow, I was talking to my coach, trainer, Mary Walsh, who happens to live in Ireland, about the issues I was having. About the fact that my goal in this has been to learn to train Usher to be a service dog. And sorry about that. That comes with this. It's not COVID-19. Oscar's got himself in the tripod down here trying to sleep, and he's rolling around, so the little shake and shimmer. That's him touching the tripod legs. Anyhow, with her help, and of course the book and the lessons from the school and whatnot, I caught my feeling of aggression about this constant issue we were having. And I was told, smear his face in it, he'll stop doing it. And my response was, but that's not how I'm supposed to train him as a service dog. And with the help of Mary, I was able to see how the aggression in which I was raised had been passed along to my children, other dogs that I had trained or raised, and how that was not what I wanted to do with Usher. Today I got a phone call. Very special friend, just out of the blue, called me. Juani Riviera. I did it like that because I want to make sure I roll those R's. And to go back to the way I was trained to roll the R's, I gotta be really, exuberant about my R's. But anyhow, Juani called me, and we got to talking. And I was telling her this story, and we talked about lots of things. But one of the things that we talked about is how we, as the children of Yahuwah, we're so focused on being right. We're so focused on the right name, the right calendar, the right this, the right that. And a lot of people says this. But it's like it's a lot of people are saying it, but there's no heart change. And one of the things that I want, and I've prayed for, is a heart change. I've prayed to be healed from what was done to me. And I've had people tell me how everything that ever happened to me, this past 2.5 years, everything, cancer, the whole 9 yards, it was my fault. What was Yahuwah trying to teach me? What sin had I committed? The whole gamut. And I've said that same thing to people, and I still believe it. What's the message? What's he trying to do? What's he trying to teach you? I'm the first one who says it to myself, which a lot of people don't believe, which is fine vanity. I really don't care. But the bottom line is when we're going through something, we should have our eyes and ears open. We should be aware of where the teacher is coming from. We should be open to those things. She mentioned Job. Her and her 11-year-old son are reading the Bible in chronological order, 3 chapters a day, as part of his homeschool program, and they're in Job. And she mentioned him. I've mentioned Job many times to people. What happened to him was allowed by Yahuwah, whether we like it or not. It wasn't to prove what a perfect person he was. It wasn't to show the devil that he wasn't going to turn his back. That wasn't the purpose in all of it. The purpose in all of it was to make Job examine himself. There would have been no need for Job to ask for forgiveness and seek forgiveness at the end of that if he had not done something that needed to have repentance. Yahuwah shows up in a whirlwind and says, pull up your pants and act like a man. And those things are not said unless we're acting like toddlers. So what was the purpose? I've known from day one there was a purpose in everything that happened. I didn't like it. I had my children of Israel in the desert moments. I've screamed to go back to Egypt because I didn't like where I was at in the desert. I've bellowed for quail when he was giving me manna. I've tried to collect more manna when he said it would be enough. I've done those things, and I'm so ashamed. But I also know this. I also know that he has not forsaken me, and he loves me. And this desert experience has been for a purpose. It's a purpose for me. Wani had told me today, she's told me before, but I think maybe today I finally got it. How she's watched me go through my desert experience. She's watched some of the things relationship-wise and things that have gone on. And how much it has made her examine herself. And how much it has made her look at her own relationships. And I needed to hear that. Because here's the thing. I may be as hard on me as I am on anybody else. Or harder. I expect a certain level of perfection from myself. Because that's what was expected of me. I expect a certain level of getting it right so that I have his approval, because that's what was expected of me. So I create my own issues a lot. I know I'm in the position that I'm in, and that there's been no total release from it, even though it's better. There's been no total release from it because I asked to be healed. I asked to be taught about faith. I asked to be used to help my children. I asked to be used to help my grandchildren. Good grief, I should have been very detailed about how I wanted it to be, because he answered my prayers. Our trials don't just affect us. They affect everybody that hears about them. They affect people that are watching. And I was so encouraged by that reminder from her that what I'm going through, no matter how much I fail, no matter how much I fall, no matter how much I have to beg and plead for forgiveness, no matter how much I have to unlearn things I never should have been taught, it is worth it. It is worth it. Joe and Jennifer Ligon, mom and dad that I talk about, we talked about people don't count the cost. The cost of asking to be perfected. The cost of asking to be healed and made whole. The cost of walking this road where he says, be set apart. It's costly. It's costly. To be different. To desire to be molded. To desire to have that junk pulled out of us. The filth, the things that we were taught we never should have been taught, to desire to have all of that removed and stand before him clean and pure. There's a cost. I stood in a gazebo in 2014 and I prayed for this. I asked for this. Did I know the cost? No, I didn't know the cost. But I can tell you it was worth it. I may have moments where I say right the opposite. But I know it was worth it. Because I get a little more taste of the freedom I want as we go along. So I encourage you, if you're in a bad space, if you're unlearning the things that you never should have learned, if you're dealing with complex PTSD and fibromyalgia and all the things that come from the toxicity of bad relationships and abuse, I encourage you to release things. I encourage you to step into the crap. I was hurting today really, really bad. Whole right side of my body. Headache on the right side. Everything. You know, that fits the fibromyalgia, that fits the complex PTSD, that fits the fact that I was just never abused. Period. Especially as a child. It just fits. Talking to Wani, and letting out what needed to come out is what made me feel better. And that's why you see me so transparent on Facebook. Because I'm going to let it out. Because that's the way I heal. That's the way I help other people to heal. My Father, through me, helps other people to heal. Because I'm willing to let you see this. And I've been hiding it. And I've been keeping it quiet. Because I had come to believe that it was so ugly that even this was not acceptable. Even my posts were not acceptable. I had to learn how to have joy in my posts so that people could stop trying to fix me. But this is what Yahuwah is using. It may not look like how everybody else wants it to look may not be done the way you think it ought to be done. But this is what my Father is doing. And you can have your healing as well. And it won't be easy. And it won't be pretty. But it will be worth it. I pray that the prayer that I prayed at the age of 17, that my life would help somebody else. I pray that this helps somebody.